Hey, so I'd like to take some time to talk to you guys about life in this cesspool. So I saw this, it was on Friday the 3rd, just going down to the store, my little jog, daily walk thing, and I've been thinking about a lot of things with life. A lot of people have been talking about how horrible their life is, how messed up things are. And then some people say, oh, it's not that bad. And I also think, like, is it really as bad as things seem? And is it the cesspool right here? Is it this kind of muck and mess? But what's in there? What are the things that are in there? What gets it to be around this? And what's around the things as well? Because here you can see this just the side of the road. I just saw this. See, there's a to-let sign there. That's here in here. It's in Nairobi, Kenya. It's a pretty good neighborhood, despite that cesspool. You might not think things like this would be there in a neighborhood that you consider good, but this is here. This is what you see there. You see on the side there was some people selling plants. You look at the sign right here. There's something about World Animal Protection, Pearl Heart Schools, Kindergarten, BASF, that's an international company, Lower Kabete Road. You look at this, there's people living, people making a living, people just going by with their regular day-to-day life. Guys just walking by, not noticing. There's restaurants there. These are places in a good neighborhood here in Kenya. But there is something about even being a good neighborhood in a certain place that has these things going on. What kind of people, what kind of places, what kind of neighborhoods are defined as a good place? Is this a negative place because you've seen this cesspool? What are the chances of you actually seeing this cesspool? If you were walking by for whatever reason and somehow fell into the cesspool, that would be probably the worst day you've had in a while. And negative things could happen. You could sprain your ankle. You could get sick from actually being in that cesspool. But does that define everything else around that cesspool? Does that define the nature of the place, or is that more about the experience that you were having at that time in that current place due to a myriad of things, due to your current focus? What is the contents of that cesspool? Where do they come from? Why are they there? Who was responsible for actually dealing with that cesspool? Were you not paying attention when you were walking? Is there ways to get out of there? Should the people who are around there be actually dealing with this cesspool? You look at a situation like this, there's people making money, selling their plants, making a living around there. There's people who probably take it for granted, don't even notice it. Why did I notice it when I was taking my jog? It's the smell. It's something that's there. Everybody is smelling it, whether you're picking it up or not. It's there on the side of the road as people go by in their regular lives. As people go there to that restaurant, there's people there talking about animal protection, these international organizations. Should it be their responsibility to actually come there and actually put something and deal with that there? There was some construction going on the side there. They were changing the actual waterways here. Now, that could be part of why this is stagnated, but I've been walking by this place before, and occasionally it stagnates, occasionally it opens up. It's just something that just happens here and there. Maybe it's now due to that new actual construction. So there's people doing construction, there's improvements happening, buildings coming up, there's kids being taken to preschool there, learning new things. If you were living in Kenya and you were deciding to take your kid to a school and you drove by in your car, would you even notice the cesspool? But then there might be one day when your kid is actually walking out of the school for whatever reason and then they fall into the cesspool. But because you were just driving your posh car the whole time to get to that school, because from that location and that place, it's not going to be a cheap place. Many of the people who will bring their kids there would probably never actually walk by there. The teachers might, the people who own the place might, but would you live in a certain place where there'd be demands for that place to be clean and to be better and just to be dealt with in a better situation? Do you live in a place where there's a governing body, whether it's the state, public sector, or just private kind of institutions, where they would feel responsible for dealing with the external status and cleanliness of the area? Do you have a certain place where somebody who, like that person just selling the flowers out there? Now, if you're buying flowers from those people out there, you will be walking by this cesspool. But for some people, it doesn't connect. Some people feel I'm selling my stuff here. I'm going to make sure that when people are coming to buy my flowers, my pots and things like this, they don't smell a cesspool. So I need to go and talk to whoever needs to actually be talked to clean this up. That person might have done it already. Then a place like Kenya, they might already be people who are, well, we'll come and we'll do that later, or that's not for us. They'll pass on the bureaucracy of all these things. So this is just a thought that I had. I wanted to make this video with those visuals. And you look at what's in the cesspool, and even in the cesspool itself, when you actually look at the video, By any definition of a stagnant, filthy pool of water, this is it. But if you look close enough, some of the things are just thrown there, but this thing's moving. This won't be there forever. This thing's moving. There's even things actually living and existing in that. Small microbial things and insects and things. And other things that we don't necessarily pay too much attention to. Even this video itself kind of came out of this cesspool, or this stagnant pool being there. What is a cesspool? How do you define it? It depends on what you focus on. Let's say this entire video was just me recording on the cesspool. Just roll that video, roll that footage over and over again. What would your perception be of this location? I could have just shown you the positive things, the people going on their life, the people driving by. I could focus on this board and say, look, promising future for Kenya. We're focusing on world animal protection. There's schools and things like this. We're bringing in chemistry and electricity and all this. Instead of focusing on the chemistry going on in that cesspool right there, you know? I could say, okay, look, tandoori patio. I'm switching to a food channel now. And this is the best tandoori restaurant ever in Kenya. You should definitely come and eat. And we just focus on that. And there's people who do that. It's about what you consume. You are what you consume. Problems occur not because of what X is, but because of how we define X. From just this video, from this one location, there's many things I could have focused on and messaged to you something else. Doesn't mean any of those other things don't exist. Right now in the world, some people are getting mired in some very negative and very real things. But that isn't the entire world, especially if you just take a snapshot, like I was talking before. You take a snapshot of that pool, you focus on one location, you'll be able to find some really horrific things. But doesn't mean that pool defines that entire location for the rest of time. Doesn't mean it defined that entire location at that single time when that photograph was taken. And just because you've walked by that location and never noticed that cesspool, many times you've walked by, doesn't mean it wasn't there. So I'm just trying to say, let's have better communication, better understanding where we understand there are certain things that people are seeing that some haven't seen. There are other things that are actually being focused on that may not be as definitive as some people say. And this is just in your regular life. Just do a self-analysis of your life and see what are you focusing on too much, what are you missing, and vice versa. That's it for now. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it wasn't too disgusting to look at the cesspool. I think it was useful to actually have those visuals and have that actually be a message that I was trying to express. Till next time. Goodbye, and for the Americans out there, and for just liberty lovers, happy belated 4th of July.